Hi everyone, welcome back. So I've been painting furiously, getting these guys all modelled up, painted and ready for action. So here's one of the sneak peek. Anyway, so join me down on the table here and I'll run through how I put them all together, what it was like, a few thoughts and opinions and whatnot, and show you the finished results. See you in a sec. Okay, so I've got all my bits assembled and painted on here, and I'll show you each one. I'll go through each one and talk about it. So this is the Forest Shambler. He's there, looks pretty cool. He's got all sorts of bits of root, and he's got various funguses and whatnot growing off of him. I've given him a name already, because obviously this kind of game you need all your characters to have names. He's going to be called Trunkston. So this is Trunkston the Forest Shambler. So he's all ready for painting. That's him. Went together nice and easily, not too much flash. Very cool. Use super glue on him. This is Fire Elemental. He's getting ready for painting. Dead easy resin. A couple of big bits I had to snip off the base just to get him to fit on there. No real dramas with there. Used super glue to stick his arms on because the plastic glue wasn't taking very well on him. So this is the Fire Elemental, and he's going to be called Magna. Then we've got the main commander. Here she is. You might remember in a previous video, I've changed her arms around a little bit from the box art. I wanted to make her look as if she's casting a spell. I'm going to try and do a bit of a glow effect on her hand there if I can pull it off. So that's her. You may have remember on the thing I said I was going to go with a Welsh Celtic kind of theme. So her name is going to be Keris the Earth Weaver, and these are her two cats, identical miniatures. Let me just put me on there. These are her two cats, and they're going to be called Night and Day. So I'm going to paint one like a Black Panther and one kind of like a lioness. So Keris Earth Weaver and her two cats, Night and Day. Right, then we've got these, they're called salamanders, so he's the guy in charge. This is going to be Salamander Veteran Sergeant Smelter, because they've got, there's a lot of fire and bits and pieces on the box art and stuff like that that I can incorporate into it. And the rest of these are just sort of standard warriors. So I'll just tell you quickly about them. They weren't too bad to put together, but what we'll say is there's no instructions. So it was a little bit of a trying to work out which arms went with which, so that was a bit of a pain. And also these bases have got these weird holes underneath them. I don't know if they come from a different game. So I've flipped them upside down, but I mean another way you could use some filler to fill that in when you base it. But I've actually stuck mine upside down. When it's all based and put together, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue, but that is a bit odd, I thought. And you have to use these bases because it's they need the basing, I think. So these are the guys. There's loads of different poses you can do. They're quite cool, so you get some dynamic bits and pieces. There's 4 or 5 different head sculpts, so they can all look quite different, which is cool. There's loads of weapon choices, but one of the things that was a bit of a bugbear is the mould lines on the head go straight down the centre. I don't know if you can see that. They still need a bit of clearing up. But what that means, obviously faces and bases is one of the things you sort of say to show off a model. And so with that, it's a bit of a pain. I understand it's probably easier for the casting point of view, but a bit of a pain for prep and getting them to look nice. So that's what I'd say, a bit of feedback for those. The lack of instructions made them quite a bit harder to put together. I had to, there's a bit of trial and error finding the right hands to fit the things. On the plus side, just making a bit of noise, there's loads of extras. On the sprues, I've still got loads of arms and bits and pieces, so you really can have unique looking models, which is one of the benefits of plastics. So there's loads of different combinations you can have, and they were quite, you know, I've hopefully done some quite dynamic poses. One tip I'd give you with heads is always never have a head facing straight forward. It always looks a bit boring. If you can put them all off to the side, they look a bit more like they're moving. There's more movement in it. So that's those guys. And then we've got these, I'm going to call them Naiads. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's spelled Naiads. And these are going to be called the Sargasso Sisters. The Sargasso Sea is, well, Google it if you don't know what it is. I'll let you find that out. And again, these have got these weird circular bits on the bases, so I'll flip them around. And and these got quite feminine looking bodies. So these are all females. They're quite cool. There's enough combinations to make models for all the cards, so that's all good. So you've got no worries there. These guys have got tridents, or these girls I should say, got tridents and nets. I'm quite pleased with that because my daughter, I'll be able to get my daughter playing as well with some female figures. We need more female sculpts in war games in general. Is my my bit of my thought for the day. Yeah, she will play now and again, but she does like to have a female character. So these guys have got ranged attacks and melee attacks. One of the things I need to find out in the rule book is whether the rules state it's what the model's carrying or whether it's what the card has got, because the card gives you attack details for both melee and ranged. These guys have just got melee attacks. So yeah, so I need to work that out. So that's my warband that I've got. So yeah, we've got Keris Earthweaver, we've got the Sargasso sisters, we've got Sergeant Smelter and his Iron Core, we've got Trunkston, the Earth Shambler, the Tree Forest Shambler, and we've got Magna, the Fire Elemental. So I'm going to get those painted up. The other bits, these are the bits of terrain that I split with Rob. He's got the other half. So it's basically, I've got a collection of druidic, so you can see the runes. Can you see the runes on there? Yeah, look cool. So hopefully I'm going to do some glowy type effects with the old paint. He says, you'll see in a minute whether I pulled it off or not. So I've got that. So I've got a number of stones which look cool. I've got this poor girl who looks like she's been strung up. So we'll have to find a brave soul to rescue her. Perhaps one of the guys from the Northern Alliance is up to the job, or one of the girls even. And a pile of cannonballs with a cannon and a thingy. So I'm going to finish off cleaning these guys up, get them painted, and with the power of the internet, in less than a second you'll see the finished result. So see you shortly. Bye bye. Okay, so we've jumped through a time paradox. It's about a week and a half, 2 weeks later for me, and about 3 seconds later for you guys. As you can see, everything's finished. So I'll just show you all the little bits again, run through how I painted them, and a few thoughts and whatnot. A few caveats: I'm not a professional painter or anything like that, never won any competitions. I'm very much getting ready for the table to get playing. I love playing the games, that's the main objective, get them looking nice, get them on the table, and so that's what I've done. I'll tell you how I did them anyway in case anyone's interested. So we start off with these guys again. So Sergeant Smelter in the Iron Crew, so this is the main man. This is Sergeant Smelter, so he is actually the command figure. I was mistaken when I spoke to you earlier. At Keris, she's not a command, she's a spellcaster. So this is Sergeant Smelter, base coated in black, bit of dry brushing in grey to get all the bits of his skin poking out. Then I did his armour, started it off in yellow, gave it an orange wash, and then a bit of a dry brush again with yellow just to pick out the details. A bit of bone on his horns there, and a little bit of wash around the bottom. So it looks alright, doesn't it? Quite happy with that. So that's him, and these are the other guys. I'll get my hand out of the way. This is one of them. So I think they come out really nice. He's got his blade sort of thing. I looked on the internet, his blade's supposed to be on fire, so that's what that is. And then his shield, I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to do a bit of fluff on there. Look. Try to do a bit of a lightning effect on his shield in the cracks. I've tried to carry that theme through all the models. They all feature a bit of that sort of blue lightning colour. This one here is the same, he's got a bit on there, as you can see, but they all clean up alright. Still a bit of a mould line on there, which I'm annoyed about, but other than that I've cleared them up fairly well. The basing is basing I do for pretty much all my minis. I've got like a little tub. It's got a couple of different flocks in it, some sawdust, some sharp sand, mix it all together, and then with the basing I give them a bit of PVA, dunk them in there, shake it off, and then the tufts are a bit of some string from like garden string, I think you call it. That's what we call it here anyway. You can get it and then hot glue gun it down, a little dab of wash on the bottom to hide any of the glue marks, and you can sort of trim it and cut it and fluff it to whatever, and that's just a bit of lichen that you can buy and stick on, so that's cool. They've got little fire things on the bottom. So that's those guys. Moving on, we've got Keris, the Earthweaver. Like I said, she's not a commander. I thought she was, but she's not. She's a spellcaster. So this is her. Yeah, so I've got a Celtic thing. I base coated her brown. because she was going to have a lot of flesh, so I thought that'd work better. Base coated her brown, used darker skin tone first of all, then sort of flesh wash over her. Then I picked out her muscle groups with a couple of different shades of lighter skin tone, so you can see her leg muscles and arm muscles. I think I'm quite happy with that, worked out quite well. Yeah, and done a sort of bit of a wolf pelt on the back. She's got the blue gun on. I bottled out of doing the Celtic swirls on her skin because I was quite pleased with how it turned out. I'll try to do a bit of a spell effect on her. I looked up a tutorial on YouTube for that. I'll try and get a bit of... There we go, that's good. So yeah, that's just a bit of white in her hand, and then a turquoisey wash running down her arm to give it the glow effect. It's not brilliant, but I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. I'll try not to beat myself up about painting because it's a no-win situation. These are her two cats. So this is Day. That's that guy. And Night, or Night and Day as you want to call it. Just knock the camera, there we go, put it back. Yeah, so that's cool. Actually, as I was painting these, you get quite attached to things when you start painting them, don't you? This is Tungsten. What a cool model this is. I really like this guy. He's got all kinds of mushrooms, funguses growing on him. He's got these sort of bulrush reeds or something on his back. He's got vines for hands. His hand's got sort of loads of little bits of rock sort of clenched in it. Yeah, so loads of details there. This guy was base coated black and then sort of over brush with a dark brown and then a couple of other browns and some brown washes. A couple of greens for the vines with some green washes, and then his eyes with that same sort of magic effect or the glowing effect from the smelter guy. So he's got a bit of white with some turquoisey blue wash to bring it out, and I've sort of gone over his face a bit with it as well, so he looks like he's glowing. So that's that guy. Really nice model. I really like him. He's cool. That's Tungsten. This is Magna. So this is the fire elemental. Base coated him. What's it called? Dark red. Then I did a lighter red overbrush, and then it was lighter red. Then it was an orange. Then it was a yellow, and then a bit of bone sort of colour over the tips of the flames at the top, just to add a bit of shadow. And then for his foot, I wanted it to, on the box art, I can't find it now, but yeah, on the box art, it wasn't completely clear where his face was, I didn't think. So I've used a bit of that blue again from the spell effects to sort of so you can really see where his face is, and just make his eyes stand out a bit, which is quite cool. And then the bottom is a bit of smoke, so that's just a few different shades of grey overbrushed on top of each other. So that's him, he's cool. That's Magna. And then these girls, Sargasso sisters, these are brilliant. I really like these models. The more I painted them, the more, you do it, don't you? As you start painting them, you get more, you sort of notice bits and pieces. So these were black undercoat, or black, base coat. And then I wanted quite a strong contrast, so I've done the armour. Initially did it sort of metallic-y bronze kind of colour, and then I give it an armour wash, and then I did a sort of a dry brush of gold just to pick out the highlights. And for the skin, I did it like a shadow grey, I think it was called. So I started off with a shadow grey colour, then turquoise wash. Let's go into the bits, and then the shadow grey again, just on to sort of highlight the different bits, like accentuate the curves, I think is what I say. And yeah, I really like those, so they're brilliant. I think the colours have gone together really nicely for these, and the poses as well. It's quite funny when you go on the Mantic website or look at the box art. I've noticed this for Kings of War bits and for these. They photograph them all in the same pose, and they put them all in rank, and it looks like you're getting all the same models. But as you can see, these are all look really different, don't they? You know what I mean? So yeah, don't be put off by that. You can make some really good looking, different looking characters on there. So that's how they sort of started out. So as you can see, I've done these quite differently to that. And then these guys, I've gone for the more traditional salamander colour of black and the orange. So yeah, I'm happy though. I think they're going to look good. We've entered the tournament up at Shepherd's Bush at the end of, or middle of October. So they're gonna be showing there, and we'll be at Selwig, so you'll be able to see them there if you come along. These are the stones, tried the glowing effect on these again. So these were just base coated in black, few bits picked out with white, and then the turquoise wash again over the top. Went over the edges to sort of give it a glowing kind of effect. I quite like it. I think it's all right. It's 2 or 3 different tones of grey. It's not very obvious on the camera, unfortunately, but you have to take my word for it. There is. So yeah. So the writing wasn't. Some of the writing's a bit not very deep. So it sort of. I thought in the end it was better to go over it with the ink like that to get the glowing effect than try and pick out each individual rune. But I'm quite happy with that. I think it looks good. Get a bit of decent terrain sorted out. And these cracks I've tried to make a bit more glowy. That's cool. Get them on some terrain. There's a little rock there. So yeah, I really like these models actually. They're definitely coming on sort of. This is a damsel in distress. They're certainly coming on leaps and bounds with the old sculpting and stuff. I think they've got loads of character. There's loads of options for them. They went together easy enough. They cleaned up easy enough. They all took the paint really well. There's no issues with anything like that. Yeah, really like them. Loads of character, and you can make lots of different poses. And that's it really. So there you go. That's the warband done. Ready for action. Next part of the plan or the project is to get the rules in my head. I've been watching loads of YouTubey bits and reading them and things like that. Get all the rules and stuff in my head. Get some demo games done and carry on. I like these so much, I've gone and ordered a box of goblins now. So I've got a goblin warband on its way with a flying thingy. So I should be able to do some how to play videos and some battle reports. Forces of Nature versus the goblins, as well as all the guys at the club who are in the in this project as well. So it's all good. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you again soon for the next update.